Well, hey everybody, my name is Andre with North Texas Ghost Society. I'm here with
Cindy
and Tyler.
And Tyler. So we're going to talk about Tyler's first experience going out on a paranormal investigation. Tyler and I have not spoken about that night
That's true.
at all. So this is kind of the fun word. It's kind of raw. So this is the raw.
It's been almost
portion.
3 months now?
October?
Yeah, it was like around October 8th.
Yeah. So it was October that we had an investigation. And I kind of coined it as you being a skeptic.
Yeah. I've never done it before, yeah.
And you had never done it before, never had any experiences, so this was kind of a curiosity thing for you. So given the fact that, well, let's start with the experience that night.
Okay.
So how was just the experience? Forget looking at the video and what was captured. What was the experience like for you as a first-timer?
So going into it, I wasn't quite sure like how I would feel initially going into, after setting up and all that. I've seen my fair share of videos and things like that, but as we've talked about before, those are more forward towards like entertainment wise. This isn't like, a lot of times they overdo things, again, more towards entertainment. But so they're
more for TV.
TV entertainment wise. But so I wasn't sure after setting up and all that, the equipment and everything, it kind of led me more towards what I've seen. So that's the only thing I've kind of had to go off of, but it was a lot more fun than I anticipated. I wasn't sure what to expect. We had talked prior, at work, what things she's experienced at certain places and, other things like the sort. But I had a lot of fun. I really did. I'd love to do it again.
Okay.
Like if y'all had me.
No, absolutely.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's not like what you see on a lot of shows where and that's what boggles my mind. Somebody had actually made a comment on a Facebook page regarding, why do these people start yelling and screaming when they're out there investigating the paranormal, but then they yell and scream like they're totally shocked when this is what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that just eats me to the core when, it's like, oh my gosh, or what's his name from Fast and Furious, who's now Chad Lindbergh, I think is his name.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about. Something like that. Yeah.
So, I mean, but he screams like a little girl whenever something happens. No offense to little girls, but but I mean, he screams like a little girl, and it's like, well, this is what you're investigating.
You're going out there, you're looking for it, and then when it happens, you freak out.
Exactly.
And, why?
And to
then
me,
why
it's
go?
like if
Stay
something
at home
touches,
and watch it on TV.
Something touches me, I'm like, do it again, right?
Yeah.
Or cool, I just saw something.
I want to make sure that wasn't just something going by. I want to do it again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, what kind of feelings did you get that night? Okay, so you tell us that you had a good time.
I did have a good time,
and it was better than what you expected. What experiences, if any, did you have that night?
One that really sticks out. There was a point during our initial investigation. We were up there. How long? I bet. What was it, an hour and a half? Almost?
Maybe. Yeah.
About that around there for like the first one that we went up, and I remember coming down, and I mean y'all, I'm sure you remember this. I didn't feel well.
Right. You felt nauseous.
I got really nauseous, and it wasn't like. It was almost sick to the stomach, where you get dizzy, and I got kind of started to heat up, but it was a cold night. I think it was probably.
It was a little chilly. It wasn't.
It was chilly.
Upper 50s, probably lower 60s, but there was no reason for me to be feeling the way I was, and we had gone outside. I kind of grounded myself against a tree, but that one really stuck out the most. I got a lot of goosebumps. Like her hair would stand up. A lot more in the isolated, like the women's, that first initial one.
Yeah.
But I think what made me not skeptic would probably have to be when the camera was shut off. Not once, not twice, but 3 times while I was upstairs.
The camera that's never done that
And
before.
you guys have mentioned never done that before, but like I was sitting there having a conversation, trying, just asking open-ended questions, and we'd already changed out that battery because they'd sucked it dry. So this was a fresh battery, but it being shut off 3 times in less than 5 minutes, I mean, that doesn't... There's got to be something.
Yeah, considering, I mean, I had just charged up those batteries, and those are long-running batteries because they're really thick ones.
Yeah.
And, so, I mean, when you plug a battery in, it'll say it's good for 8 hours now.
Right.
And when I kept on changing those out, and, but that's something that you hear a lot, where batteries get drained.
Drain the energy from the device,
Now, I wonder, because we've never experienced that with our cameras, if it was because Tyler is new.
And they wanted to show him something.
And they were like maybe just a little bit enamored with him.
Yeah.
I did. I asked him to, show us that you're here. This was prior when we were in there initially. And we were sitting down, I was like, give us a tug on the shirt gently or, something like that to show us that you're here. And we didn't get anything. And I think he was probably feeling us out.
That happens sometimes.
I'm new.
Maybe.
Yeah, and they had mentioned that there was a gentleman who's known like as a prankster, a trickster, and he does that a lot with the general public. And that's probably where I'm more towards led, was he was just like, he was getting a feel of me, and then when I went up there alone, he was like, oh, okay. All right, let's see what he's got, test the waters, But... no, it was good. It wasn't so much more scary as everybody would say it would be.
Hood County Jail, that's not a scary place. We've been to other places where you're like, oh, I don't know about this.
Yeah.
But I mean, not like scary, but a lot different vibe than what's at Hood County.
Yeah.
But now my first guest investigation with you at that place in Gainesville, I got sick.
Yeah,
and I wasn't on the team yet.
It was your first?
It was my first investigation, and I got really nauseous until one of the ladies that was on the team before, she grounded me. I didn't know anything prior to that about grounding and doing that, but
yeah, because you had mentioned it to me. You were like, "Hey, come out here
and put your hand on a tree." Yep.
Yeah, sometimes I mean when you don't feel well, that's your body telling you something's not right. You need to get away from it. And sometimes you just got to get out of the building. And it's just, whether it's to go out and go smoke a cigarette, but just to get away from it for a little bit until you feel better, and then you go back in. Now, regarding after the investigation, when you went home, what was that like? Was there anything of particular interest? Nightmares?
No, I don't really dream anymore. I haven't dreamt in a while. But I did find it a little bit more difficult to sleep.
Investigation hangover.
That's what you guys did. Yeah, you did say that. Yeah,
paranormal
hangover. The next day at work, it was a little bit more drowsy, like groggy, like just kind of not the same. But
it almost takes a lot out of you. You're just weaker, a little more exhausted.
Yeah, almost like it was a day of hiking, but my legs were fine.
Because it was all meant. Your senses are on fire because you're trying to hear, you want to feel, you want to see.
Yeah.
It's just your senses are on overload, and
that's what
it's exhausting.
When I get home, it's like bat hearing. I mean, I lay there in bed,
and you can hear everything.
And it's like I am so keyed up. And I hear like the walls creaking, right?
Where you normally wouldn't pay attention to it.
But
it's
I think
almost after listening to music loud, like where you can just kind of hear that drone noise. Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean.
And it's like, we're expecting to hear something, we're wanting to hear something, so our brain is like, okay, we're going to crank up the amplitude of our ears just a little bit, but when you go home, it's like you can't turn that off immediately. At least it hasn't been for me.
I stayed up, I think. We got back to your place because we didn't leave.
We didn't leave until 2 in the morning or
2
something?
2 a.m. A little after 2 a.m. And we didn't get back to your place where my car was at.
About 2:45, 3.
Yeah, closer to 3. But I got back to my place after 3, and I didn't go to bed I feel like it was probably closer to 5. Like it was like wired. Like I was just still going, you know.
Like when you're at a concert and then when you leave,
Yeah.
you're humming.
Yeah, you're just,
your
you're
whole
going.
body's humming.
You're still, the adrenaline's going, but no, it was a lot of fun, man.
Okay, so I've got to ask you about the video.
Yeah.
So it took a little bit longer than what I initially thought.
It's all good.
You know,
Can't
but
rush perfection,
it's just, I mean, when it's multiple cameras and you got to sit there and you got to listen and watch every frame and listen to everything, it just takes forever.
Right.
But after watching the video, what was your thoughts? Did anything in the video stand out that you were like, whoa, hang on a second?
They talked to me. A lot more than I thought they would, because there were points like in the isolation room, like the women's quarters, where now granted you said the ghost box wasn't the best to use at the time, but there were a lot that I realized that thinking it back, that I'd heard, where I just imagined it was, you know, the overlay through the stations and stuff, but like, no, I heard those, and hearing them back and then the amplified, it's...
Is that your phone?
That was mine.
Came from,
okay.
I was about to say, it came
I'm
from
like-
that way.
Yeah, that was my phone. It was different. It was a lot more like than I thought.
No, there was a lot of interaction with the ghost box with you.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Oh gosh! And here I am. I was talking about, you know, everybody before we meet for today. Refresh yourself with the video. There was one portion where the camera's on your back, and it says it was either like "Come to God" or something like that. But it was really weird because when you're listening to the stations, and all of a sudden it like stopped, and you hear that 3-4 words, and then it continued on. I was like, okay, that was definitely something that came through for you, right?
They had talked about my hair a bit. There were a few gentlemen I remember that didn't appreciate it.
Well, that kind of makes sense. I mean, when you think about a 1800s
Back in the
jail.
day, they didn't have,
Yeah. It was when my back was to the camera in the women's quarters. That was where I feel like I got most of the communication.
We need to get him with a better ghost box, because that one that you had brought, the static, I can't pick out words in those, but we've both have some really good ones that we need. I need to bring.
We got quite a bit too when we went into the men's as well.
Yeah.
But you just can't pick it out.
Yeah,
Like
it's hard with that one with the
You hear it
static.
come through, but
Well, you know, there's a lot of debate whether static is a carrier or not. For me, I think static is a carrier to help some of these voices, because if you, at least from my experience, when I listen to a ghost box session, if you listen in the static, you'll hear snippets of words or a little conversation that's going.
yeah.
Now, it's not like, trying to think, when we did the experiment down with Lavaca County Jail with the Geobox, where
we were
a
in
group of
separate
us,
rooms.
yeah, and that was kind of cool because Cindy and I, we synced up our cameras.
Okay.
I videotaped the ghost box, her and the group, because it was like 2 groups of us. Her and one group went off to the main part of the jail.
Different end of the building.
And they were asking questions. And since our cameras were synced up, I'm catching replies that is answering their questions through the ghost box.
From the other side of the jail.
From the other side of the jail, where you couldn't hear.
And then we swapped. I moved my camera, my group, into the other side. We were asking questions, and you hear answers still coming out of the geobox on her camera, you know, which was very unique, you know. I want to get to some of the questions. Posted up on Facebook and also on the YouTube channel regarding if you had any questions, since we were going to do this video today.
I feel like this is falling. Is it falling?
Put it on the side.
But every time you touch it, it goes boom, boom, boom,
Oh,
boom,
yeah. My bad, guys.
Sorry.
So if you hear a bunch of popping noise,
Yeah,
because
that's
Tyler
me.
keeps touching the microphone. Let's see. Okay, from Facebook page, a person called Rob Franks. How long has your team been together, and what got you interested into the paranormal? Cindy?
I joined the team in 2015.
God, has it been that long?
It's been that long.
Wow.
I know, right? I had met Andre through his daytime job that he does. Do you mind if I say it or whatever?
None of our
Give you a little
business.
plug.
This is none
No,
of our
okay.
business.
Anyway, and he invited me to a guest investigation, and it's been that way ever since. I've always been interested in the paranormal. I've seen one full body apparition, but it was a German Shepherd, and I was very young when that happened. In 2015, when we went for our first big investigation at Old South Pittsburgh Hospital, I saw the shadow figure. We were there for like 5 days, 4 nights.
Yeah, something like
And
that.
the
It was
whole time,
crazy.
I'm like, God, I really want to see the shadow figure. If I see the shadow figure, I'm going to pee all over myself. But I really want to see the shadow figure. If I see the shadow figure, I'm going to turn around and run. It's going to scare the crap out of me, but I really do.
Yeah.
The whole time we were there, nothing. Well, there were disembodied voices and stuff like that, but no shadow figure. Everybody there was like 6 or 7 of us. We had all packed up, getting ready to walk out. We were going down the hallway, and down at the end where the pharmacy was, from left to right, here goes the shadow figure. And right after that investigation, Andre and I went to Ripa Villa Plantation in
Yes.
Spring Hill, Tennessee. I think it's Spring Hill. And I saw the little girl, Annabelle. I saw her shadow figure. And ever since then, I see shadow figures often. Often.
That was
When
a
was your last?
long night. Let me
That
tell you.
was a freaking long night. And
That
when we
was a
left
long
Ripa
night.
Villa, eventually I told Andre, I was like, dude, I'm fading fast. You're going to have to pull over if you want me to stay awake and try to
You got to
keep you
remember,
awake.
so we spent a couple of days at this hospital out in Tennessee, Old South Pittsburgh. We leave there, we drive.
To Spring Hill, which is about an hour south of Nashville.
Yeah, but how long did it take us? That took us.
Oh, I don't even remember. Several hours.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't get to Rippaville till that evening,
Right.
and we stayed there till 3, 4 in
3
the
or
morning,
4 in the morning.
and did the investigation there. Great spot.
It was a great spot.
And then I decide 17 hours. I can do it. Straight through, because I want to get back home now, right?
Oh, yeah.
So it was like 12 hours. I was just like, man,
Eyes
got
getting heavy.
no. I mean, I'm hallucinating where
Oh,
it's
you
like
passed
Yeah,
that.
we were just like,
I'm sitting there and it's like, okay, I got to be careful, both hands on the steering wheel, because if I do this, the truck will flip. So I'm trying to keep my head from doing this.
Yeah.
To purposely, right? When it gets that bad and you got tunnel vision,
It's time to
so
pull
we
over.
stopped off and
Some gas
powered,
station.
yeah, powered nap for a couple of. I think I snored
Couple hours, I don't-
for a couple hours, right?
Jeez.
in the
Just to
truck.
kind of get refreshed and then finish the drive. And I told her, I was like, never again.
No.
I will never drive.
No, that was.
Yeah, it's a
mean,
long time to drive.
That's a long time. But Rippavilla was great.
Yeah.
Old
They were
South-
so nice there.
Yeah, no, I mean, just the history of the place.
Yeah.
I mean, and the building is great. And the slave quarters
Slave
that are
quarters
outside.
where we saw
and-
weird shadows going around.
Yep.
And, yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what's interested you in the paranormal, Tyler?
Interested how? What do you mean?
Have you had any experiences?
No, prior to
Prior to
that,
this?
no. I mean, I've growing up, the same things everybody else sees on the whole TV, ghost hunters and things like that, but nothing myself. I couldn't say.
And when you found out at work that this is what I do, what made you want to come and go on a guest
Something new. I've never done it before. It's like everybody's always heard about it. Many a skeptic. How often do you get the opportunity to actually go?
Right.
Get a feel for it yourself. There's only one way to find out, and that's to do it on your own.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
So,
I mean, have I had experiences throughout my life? Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of them you just chalk up to just, it's just in my head,
I'm
right?
sure I might have, and just never. It just kind of my mind, got rid of it. And nothing to remember. Nothing of this something special or that sticks out. But
I truly believe your eyes see only what your mind is ready to comprehend. So
Yeah.
maybe when we were at Old South Pittsburgh, my mind wasn't ready to comprehend a shadow figure until I had gone through the initiation process of my first big investigation.
maybe
I don't know.
I know for me, getting into the paranormal was 2011 is when, because our house was haunted.
Yeah.
And I say was, but we had activity in the house. My wife and I, we just totally ignored it. And you'd hear stuff moving, footsteps, doors opening and closing upstairs, but we just ignored it. We'd pay attention to TV, kitchen behind us, you'd hear stuff rattling. It wasn't until youngest was born, then everything changed. Everything got a little bit more active in the house. And then my mother was with us for the weekend, and we have a baby monitor, and I could have swore I heard my mother talking to in her room, and it's like 6 in the morning, right? And I'm just like, you can't be in there talking to her. So anyway, my mother comes down like an hour later from upstairs, and I told her, I said, you can't go into our daughter's room. You can't talk to her. She's sleeping, you know, she's just a baby, right? And she's like, what are you talking about? I just got up. And my wife had heard stuff coming through the monitor. But anyway, well, fast forward, it got really crazy to where our daughter was crying all the time. She would stare at something up the stairs, stare in the kitchen behind me, crying like uncontrollably while she's pointing at something, and finally I had enough. So I looked online, how do you cleanse a house, right? I don't know. I mean, I've never dealt with that before. So I went to this place, and out in Arlington, they gave me, you told me what to do, said you shouldn't do it by yourself and everything. And I was like, I don't want to get my wife involved, right? So anyway, did it. And my wife came home, and I didn't tell her
that you'd done that.
But it's really weird because when I walked into the house, as soon as I put all the stuff on the table, it was like a stampede of horses upstairs. It's like they knew what was coming. And I even actually verbally said, yeah, you know what the F is coming, right? So I did the thing. My wife comes home, and she's like, did you take the solar screens off? Because we got solar screens on all the windows. And I was like, no. She goes, this seems brighter in here. Well, it was gone, right?
Yeah.
So, but then I was curious, what the heck's going on? So I see something on Facebook where they're doing a public investigation out in Gainesville with this one team. So I was like, I paid my $40 and bought myself a Zoom H4n recorder and figured I'd go tag along, right? And it was a total cluster. I mean,
It's too many people.
This house is very small, and there was like 60 people there.
Compared to the Hood County Jail.
It's about the size of Hood County
About
Jail.
the Hood.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
So
upstairs
imagine
down. It was
60
upstairs
people.
downstairs.
60 people.
Yeah, it's too many.
And so there's like 15, 20 people in this one bedroom.
They had a group of 7 come in while you were out, and I thought like that was a lot of people.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Sorry.
And no, you're fine.
No, you're all right.
It's YouTube.
It's YouTube.
So you have one girl saying, don't mess with my boyfriend, right? Otherwise, you know, and he's like, yeah, come on over here and suck my... And I'm sitting here with the digital recorder trying to catch something, and it's like all these knuckleheads talking.
Yeah.
Contamination like crazy. And I was just like, screw it. Then I ran into some people that had a team. They asked me if I would join. I said, sure, right? Yeah. And then all that they wanted to do was just become famous. They wanted to get on TV. So the entire time I was with that team, I was on that team for, I want to say 3 or 4 months. I think we did one investigation. But they were talking about, we got to buy T-shirts. We got to buy this. We got
to be branded.
Yeah, you know,
branding,
to promote yourself.
Merchandise.
And we weren't I wanted to go investigate a doghouse. I don't give a crap, right? I just want to learn what this stuff is all about. So I said, screw it. I quit the team. 2 of the other people that were on the team were like, man, bravo, right? Can we come along? So that's how it kind of started for me. So I figured I'll just branch out on my own and just do it myself, right?
Yeah.
And so that's how I got into the paranormal, and it's been 2011. This is
23. So that's
23. What is that?
12 years.
Going on 12. Wow, 12 years. So all right, let's get to some other questions here.
Yeah.
All right, now to YouTube. Adele Davis. What made you want to get started in the paranormal? Each of you. I think we just kind of answered that one. What's the scariest experience you've ever had?
Ooh.
Cindy?
Yeah, you had a good one.
Yeah, so for me, It's going to go back to our first investigation at Old South Pittsburgh Hospital. My very first one. It was a big one. It was 5 days, 4 nights. We slept in the hospital rooms. I don't remember if it was our first night there or so. We had heard previous teams would run out in the middle of the night, so we were there. And I don't remember if it was the first night or the second night. Nobody else heard it but me. But I hear this boom, and the building shakes. And it scared the crap out of me. Nobody else heard it. It wasn't thunder. It was really, really weird. But the whole entire time I was there, I developed a habit that I still have to this day when we go on investigations. If I'm walking around by myself, I talk to myself out loud.
Okay.
I don't know why I started doing that, because I was really nervous. I was the whole time the hair on my arms were standing up, like there was always something going on. And just, I think that I haven't had any like scary, like you would think demonic or whatever, never anything like that, but just something that would just make me really, really nervous was that first or second night there in the hospital, and that rattling of the building was just amazing.
My only really scary experience was out at Hill House Manor. In Gainesville.
Ooh, yeah.
So we had done an investigation there. I was up for about 36 hours. Okay. So we always tell people, don't drink, don't do drugs, don't be super tired when you investigate, right?
Yeah.
Don't be sick.
Stay on your guard.
Don't be
right?
sick. You can't. Yeah.
So she's got a room back there. It's called a murder room, and it's around the back side of the house, all the way in the back. So I had DVR set up with camera back there on a tripod and cables. So we're wrapping up for the night. And she'd always told us, nobody go in the back room, the murder room, alone. So we just kind of just went with that. And it was always 2 of us going around. So now it's late night. Go back there, unhook the cable, get the camera. Now I'm spooling up the cable, and I'm by myself.
You're in there alone.
And I'm in a room from the hallway that goes into this like storage room, and then it's a cistern room, and then it's the murder room. Anyway, so I'm spooling up the cable, and you can hear the metal end of the
cable.
DVR cable, the camera cable, kind of like dragging across the wooden floor. And I'm standing there, and I take a step into the storage room.
You get closer.
You
and,
just
right,
cross
and it's
the
pitch
threshold.
black.
Yeah.
I didn't see anything or nothing. But all of a sudden, something pulled back on the cable, and it pulled me further into that room.
Yeah.
And when it did, I froze. Not because I wanted to. In my head, I'm screaming out.
Yeah, it's that fight or flight. Yeah.
And I'm
Or
just
freeze.
frozen there.
Yeah.
I don't see anything. And they come up and they come grab me, the rest of the team, right? And I went from calm, tired, 0 to 10 instantly. And that was the only time ever, out of all the things I experienced, out of all of that, it's the only time that I went from calm to scared the blank out. I mean, it actually scared me, because I mean, for that cable, and it wasn't like it got stuck and I was pulling it. It pulled back and pulled me in.
It's different.
And he's a big dude. If it pulled him in.
Yeah, that's a lot
but
of pull.
It's like I said, I didn't see anything. It's just, I mean, I was petrified. I guess that's the word to use. I was petrified and frozen. And that was wild. Shadow figures, only one I ever caught was Old South Pittsburgh, but I caught that on video. And my wife's not into paranormal, but I'd always like show her stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I'm looking at this one video, and I see the shadow going across, and it blocks out the doorway with the room number, and then it continues on. So I tell my wife, come on, come here. You got to see this, right? So I'm showing her a shadow figure, and she's just like, calm. She's like, oh, yeah, that's nice, but what's this at the bottom of the screen? Well, it's a nursery. You see a little girl walk out of the wall of the nursery. And you can see she's got like
you can
knicker,
see legs
and what was it? What do you call those? Capris.
Okay.
Like she's wearing capris, hair in a ponytail. You can see her shoes, but she points at me and turns around and walks to the shadow figure, and they both go around the corner together.
Oh wow.
that's the only time I've ever seen anything.
Yeah.
I've seen like sparkles, but I mean, we had somebody on a team one time that he was seeing sparkles.
He took a video
and
of
he
it.
took- stars, like-
yeah.
No,
but
it
he
was like
took his cell phone.
yeah.
He was in a public restroom, and he videotaped the sparkles,
Yeah.
and it's on his camera. You see these little
Oh,
Yeah.
like
sparkles
floating down.
yeah,
Yeah,
just like
It's-
little sparkles.
Holy
Yeah,
crap.
and I've been all over the app store to see if there's an app that maybe he did. I
Uh-huh.
can't find it. I mean, there are apps like that,
And
but
how long
none
ago
like
has that been since he was hanging out with us? That had been 6.
at least 6, 7,
Yeah.
8 years.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yes. So
6.
I mean,
yeah.
that's before the apps like were really getting as
Yeah.
good as they are
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he was like, I thought I was having heart trouble or something.
Jonathan.
Yeah.
You're like
Yeah, because he would see
lost
stars.
oxygen. Yeah, seeing
Uh-huh.
stars. You're like, no. Hold
But he said he was just like, I got to find out, am I seeing this or not? And it showed up on his camera. That was kind of freaky.
That's
All right, let's get to
Yeah,
question
next
number. All right, Alex
I think we-
Trebek, what's your next question? Have you ever had something follow you home? If so, what was it like, and how did you get rid of it? Cindy?
Yeah, yeah, happens all the time. It happens all the time.
You
You just
said you brought
gotta.
one to work.
I couple times came to work with me. That was Hood County. Just things sound like pictures are falling off the wall, and you go in there and nothing's been disturbed. And so, like, my mother lives with me, and occasionally she'll be like, "You need a sage when you get home. They're at it again." So, I mean, just sometimes you get this overwhelming feeling that someone's staring at you or someone's behind you. Like, you just get that feeling.
Yeah.
Just stuff like that. Nothing ever horrible or weird, but it's just noise and things go bump in the night.
How do you
You
get rid
get
of it?
used to it. Sage.
Sage?
Yeah.
Sage your best
You
friend?
do a
Yeah.
cleansing.
There you
Do a
go.
cleansing. Yeah.
God, I remember coming back from, where were we at when we stopped by the convenience store and we had just saged ourselves
We were
with
coming.
the cop that was in the store.
It was Old South Pittsburgh,
Old
wasn't
South
it? Yeah.
Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
So it's
Jeez.
like
Lots
late,
happened there.
right? So we saged ourselves, saged my truck, saged
Because
inside the
we
truck.
pulled out of the parking lot of Old South Pittsburgh and did it on the street, and the girls that cleaned Old South Pittsburgh were watching us through the window.
Yeah.
Like, what are they? We're saging our
Crazy
equipment.
white-
We're
Oh
like
yeah,
saging
I'm
ourselves.
like saging everything. We leave out. We stop by a convenience store
Have you
to
ever
get
smelled
like
sage?
it
It
smells
has
like
a
pot.
tiny weed smell. It's got a
Yeah,
little bit of a
it
weed
smells a
smell.
little bit like pot.
Yeah.
So we walk in, and I know that her and I are like reeking to high heaven,
Yeah,
like
like
we just
sage.
smoked a pound, right?
Yep.
And we walked in, and here's this cop, and it's late
Oh,
night,
yeah.
right? And I'm just like,
listen,
Yeah,
I
it's
can
like 3,
explain.
4 in the morning.
yeah, I'm like, okay,
That's so
well,
funny.
this is gonna be. So I actually explained to him, hey,
Listen.
is this sage, right? He was kind of interested in the paranormal.
He was,
I
yeah.
mean, but for me, the only attachment, I mean, I've had stuff follow me home, but I think if you reach out and you try to communicate, they're going to be
They're gonna be-
enamored with you somehow.
Form
Maybe they want to
attachments.
see, well, you're hanging out in my hood. I want to come see where you live,
Yeah.
right? The only time ever really that was Cartersville Church. It's a town that is off the map, and we went there. Long story short, had a hitchhiker, as I like to call it, attached to me, old
Deacon
Frank. Yeah. And got rid of that with the help of a psychic. She did her thing and got it off of me, and she said that he hitchhiked onto me to get out of the church because there was other things that were keeping him there, and the things that were making me sick were trying to break the bond to get him off of me.
Right.
And anyway, so that's how I got rid of it. But usually we sage, just
Sage, say a prayer,
say a prayer.
stop, wash our hands.
I think that whatever your power is your power. If you're atheist and you believe in yourself as your own power, then that's your power.
Right.
But I think it's your belief system. Whatever you happen to believe in that gives you strength is your strength.
Okay.
Let's see. We've got one here from Sarah Hollow. Sorry, I have 3 questions here.
Oh.
I'm keen to know, have you ever connected with spirits that are from a late loved family member or friend? Wow, can I read or can I speak? Because
I
I'm
don't
having
know.
trouble
Can
with
you?
both. I'm having trouble with both.
I don't know that I've ever connected. Now I have a lot of family that's buried at Parker Cemetery off 121 in Grapevine. And we were out there doing some ghost box sessions, and we were going through, and I'm like, yeah, he was cousin or whatever. And we get to one that was Clarence Gilbert. And I'm like, God, I think he was a cousin, but I can't remember. And we move on, and Andre does review, and you hear me say, I think he was a cousin. And then in the ghost or in the recording, you hear he wasn't. He was my uncle. His nickname was Syrpy because he had syrup-colored hair or something like that, and I knew him as Uncle Syrpy. I never knew him as Clarence. And so when they said he wasn't,
I
really
think that
wasn't.
was a straight EVP.
Yes.
That
It
one
wasn't a ghost box. It was a
so
straight
that was
EVP.
straight onto recorder.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cindy and I, we'd been to what's that fort? Jonesboro.
Oh, I thought it was Jefferson, but
No,
that's Jonesboro.
Remember the guy came out there and gave me grief about
For
the
your drone. Jackson?
Fort Richardson.
Richardson. There we go.
Fort
We'll get it in
Richardson.
a second. Pardon
I
you.
walked up. No, it's my chair. It was my chair. I walked up to the bakery, and the door's locked, but the handle is missing, so it's just a hole in the door. So, I mean, I walk up, I knock, right? Just trying to be funny. And Tony, who was on the team at the time, was standing there with me. And I take the camera, and I stick it through the hole to take a look what's inside. And I hear a female voice. And he starts talking. I'm like, shh, shh, shh. All right? I just heard something.
Yeah.
On review, you hear this woman singing, "We love you." I was like, what the all right? But EVPs to me are the best. I mean, I love those because that's straight out of thin air.
Yeah.
You can't
This
say,
hospital
oh, it
is
was the radio on the
dangerous,
ghost box.
or this hospital is deadly,
This
right?
hospital
From
is
old Yoakum
deadly, yep.
I mean, we got that on a recording
Oh, wow.
where we're talking about, man, this place is a shithole. It needs to be condemned and all this stuff. You play it back and you hear somebody say, this hospital is deadly. Yeah, so I mean,
And it was disgusting.
for me, that's kind of cool. I mean,
Yeah.
but see, loved one or family member. I've just had one recent where
What was the
I
question?
did, huh?
What was the question?
If you've contacted a loved one or a...
Yeah, have you ever
Like
connected with
contacted, okay.
spirit with a loved one or past family member? I did a geobox session a week ago, and I haven't turned that thing on forever, right? I figured I'll just charge it up, and I did a quick little session with it. Didn't hear anything in real time. Now with the geobox, you hear lots of
Yeah.
talk, and
Oh, yeah.
like they're talking to each other too.
Yeah.
I mean it's a very unique box. But as I'm doing review, I'm like, motherfucker, it's my mother.
Mama came through? Uma?
Yeah, you hear it in her voice. She's like, Andre, it's Mama. So I let my wife listen to it, and she's like, that's your mom. I mean, not like, I know when I heard it, I was just like, oh my gosh, it's her voice too, right? But I haven't reached out. I haven't reached out to her. She's, it's been almost a year. It'll be on January 25th. It'll be years since she's passed away. And it's not that I don't want to talk to her. I want to kind of leave her be. I don't want to intrude.
Give her a little grace period.
You hear people like Scourge of the Earth, Huff Paranormal, who within the first 48 hours, you've got to contact the dead, right?
It's like, geez, they just
Yeah.
died.
Yeah,
Like,
can you
Now, I
give
will
them a
say
minute?
that after my mother passed away, she lived with us the last 8 or 9 years. And when she passed away, those first 2 weeks were active in the house. Upstairs in her bedroom especially. You heard her door open and close, and you heard walking. You heard stuff in the kitchen like she's doing
Like she's
dishes,
doing her stuff.
right?
She's always in the
yeah, you
kitchen.
told me that.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just like really weird. But I remember my mother, before she passed away, she had told me, if anything ever happens to me, make sure you open up the windows so that I can get out. Her belief was that spirit should be able to leave the
Yeah.
room, and you need the window open. So, I mean, after she passed away, I opened up all
Well, when
the
you
windows.
sage, they say, or when you cleanse, they say open the windows and
Yep,
yeah.
just
That's everything.
give them a chance to get on out. But that was an inadvertent contact with my
unintentional.
mother. Yeah,
Yeah.
unintentional. Will I contact her? I would love to. I mean, in my heart of hearts, I know she's okay, but I would still like to know that she's happy, comfortable, not in pain, with her mom and her brothers and sisters. How do you protect yourself in spirit during or after you connect with them when visiting locations? I guess we kind of just talked about that regarding
Yeah.
sage.
Sage,
and
we said a
Sage,
prayer.
prayer.
We said a prayer
We-
beforehand.
I like to
and
ask.
after.
I like to ask spirit when we're somewhere. Would it help if we prayed for you? A lot of times they say yes or yes please. Or,
I remember specifically y'all had said, to ask them nicely, not to follow us, to do our own thing. We come in as our own, we leave as our own. Y'all stay here.
Yep.
we
Didn't
came with
bring anything
nothing.
with
We
us.
leave with
Came
nothing.
with
Yeah.
nothing, we leave with nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That doesn't always work.
No.
Well, curiosity. I mean,
Yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah.
Communication's key, though.
But like I've said, I've never had any thing that somebody might consider evil.
The last question she has is: do you get it? Do you get any clear results on how spirits come to be? Like, are they living in different dimensions than ours, or have they seen their God?
We talked about this before we went into the Hood County Jail during our lunch. I think a lot of people have their own opinion on that. I don't think there's really any way to know exactly how they come and go. But like for me, it's almost like a limbo. That's not there's a reason they haven't gone by. There's a that's what I'm looking for.
Like maybe unfinished business.
Yeah.
They don't know that they've
a mission
died.
they have
They're
to-
afraid to be judged. They don't want to cross over because
Exactly.
they're,
Yeah.
maybe, but who knows? Who knows?
I think that's up to everyone's own personal input. What do you think?
I think an analogy was given to me that makes a lot of sense, and it was about a psych that used to be on the team, where she said, "Imagine you draw a line in the sand, and to step over that line, you're going to be judged." And maybe you did something that you think that you're going to be judged harshly for, so you don't want to step over that line.
You're skeptical about doing so, yeah.
Or that Father Schmidt thing, he did a little
the hot
talk.
priest.
The hot priest. I don't know about that,
He's
but
hot.
he did a thing about talking about heaven, hell, and purgatory, and that purgatory is this middle ground here. So, you hear the word purgatory and you think it's a negative connotation, but I think it's like a waiting area. It's prejudgment. Maybe you don't want to go and get judged and go to heaven or go to hell, so you'd rather just hang out on this plane. I don't know, but I mean, if you read Bible, you know that spirits come. There's such thing as ghosts. Ghosts and spirits are talked about in the Bible multiple times. I've heard things where people say that if you think of a loved one or you call out their name and they're in heaven, they hear you and they come and see you. I would like to know that this is not it. That
I don't
this
think it is.
Would be nice.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think this body is a hindrance to your spirit, your soul, whatever you want to call it. And when this body goes away, I think your spirit is free to... That's why when we ask them a lot, like, how do you see us move? Or like, how do you see us or whatever? And they say, you move really slow. Because we have this body's a hindrance for our soul to bounce around everywhere. So that's what I think.
Energy can move fast,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And if you throw energy into the whole space-time thing, maybe time to them, what is 5 minutes to us is 1 second to
Time
them.
is a construct.
Yeah.
So I mean,
it is what you make it to be. It's like money.
well, it's like
not-
when we get EVPs and we go out on investigations, we don't get like interaction the whole time that we're investigating.
Yeah.
It's just like very short spurts, and it's like they've gotten bored because we're taking forever to come up with the next question, even though our questions may be rapid fire. Maybe they just get bored with us and they got other crap to do, you know? I don't know.
No.
But
It'd be nice to ask.
so paranormal investigating.
I'd love to do it again.
Love to do it again?
I'd love to do it again.
I would suggest getting a digital recorder.
Okay.
Something that records in a .wav file, WAV
We'll
file.
go over it, I'm sure.
Yeah, because MP3 compresses the audio and it introduces artifacts, which could be something that's not there
Okay.
just by the way that it's compressed. But
I need to fix my computer.
yeah, and
Yay.
well, Tyler, thank you for
Thank you.
coming along
Absolutely.
and doing this follow-up video.
Of course.
Because I was very curious. Like I said, I haven't talked to you since that night, and really wanted to see what your thoughts were, especially now you
Yeah.
had the chance to digest it all.
Right. Go over
And-
the videos and
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, and just really think, okay, is this valid, or is this a possibility? It could be something different. But thank you for coming along, Cindy. Thank you for being
Just
you.
being me.
Just being you.
I know.
You are a rock star.
I know.
You
Don't
are
feed
a
her
rock star.
ego.
Yeah.
I don't have an ego.
Well, I'm gonna let you finish out the closing statement.
The closing statement.
Uh-huh.
And we're finished in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And tell everybody to what?
To tune in
And
and
keep
keep it spooky. Keep it spooky.
Ah, gotta
I
keep it
forgot.
spooky.
Keep it spooky
Yeah,
productions.
that's right.